Hi, I'm Amber Mack, and thank you for joining me for my 2022 Mostly Business Survival Guide. Thank you for being here. We are broadcasting on LinkedIn, on Twitter, as well as Facebook, so wanted to welcome everyone. To get things started, please let me know where you are watching from. I also want to say that we push this time a little bit to 1 p.m. Eastern, knowing that many parents are doing virtual school with their kids, so hopefully this is just after the school lunch hour. If you can't stay for the entire broadcast, which will be less than half an hour, did want to share that we will make sure to make the video available online for everybody to watch afterwards. So let me know where you are watching from. I see comments already coming in from Facebook, from LinkedIn as well, and Twitter. So thanks again for being here. So what we're going to do is dive into this Mostly Business Survival Guide. And I do want to say that I have been publishing my Tuesday newsletter over the past 5 years. And oftentimes at the beginning of the year, we focus on a trends report. But I just kind of thought that this year we wanted to move beyond that because let's face it, and I would love to hear from you in the comments, we have probably all heard enough about the future of the metaverse and virtual reality and automation and AI. But what many of us need right now, especially during this pandemic, is real tactical survival tips for our business. So we have put this into 3 pillars that we hope will help you throughout the year and beyond. And the first question I want to ask all of you, and hopefully you can drop an answer into the comments, is this. Can you live in predictable unpredictability? And I asked this question because I was reading an issue of The Economist, their double issue over the holiday season, and they talked about this idea of predictable unpredictability. I think all of us are kind of, crossing our fingers and hoping that this year turns out to be more normal. But I think what we've seen even in the past less than a week is that we know that it really is an unpredictable time. So how do you survive during this time? So keep those comments and those questions coming as well. So when we think about this, and I talk about the 3 pillars, these are pillars that you can focus on in your business, but I call it the Mostly Business Survival Guide because I do hope that it also helps you in your personal life. Jeff Lowe had a great comment there saying that change is the only constant. Appreciate that. I think you're absolutely right, and most of us are having to get more comfortable with that idea. Frederick says unpredictability is pretty much the normal today, and I think that, again, is absolutely true. Every day we wake up and sometimes it feels like a month of change, and we're forced into this position to really be able to adapt to that change. In fact, I've been keynoting for the past 10 plus years and talking about relentless adaptation, this idea that we always have to adapt. But what I think is even more important today is this idea of fluidity. And I've been thinking a lot about that, is how can you launch a business, whether you're a small business, medium-sized, or large business, and stay as fluid as possible. Some great comments coming in. I see some here from Facebook. Keep them coming. But let's dive into this first topic of digital discipline. So how do you create digital discipline in your business? Well, I think one of the most important places to start is to really understand the future of digital skills and what is necessary in the future. McKinsey has a really great report that talks about some of the skills that are essential in the months and years to come. When we think about these skills, 3 that they include in this report are that all of us need to understand how to add value beyond what can be done by automated systems and machines. And also, how do you operate in a digital environment? We've all seen the stories of what's taken place even in e-commerce, where we've seen 5 years of change take place within 18 months. And also, how do you continually adapt to new ways of working and new occupations? I think about this one probably the most. How can you adapt to the fact that your skill set has to be fluid enough that you're able to change along with the change that is coming so fast and furiously on our doorstep? Interesting comment here from David. We are in a shifting market, but we always are. There is always a shift, but right now, for the last 2 years, we don't know which way we are going. I think that is absolutely true. So we have to find some beauty in this idea of discomfort. Jennifer has a good comment here in terms of learning how to pivot. That is also essential. Thanks again for joining me today, and I would love it if you would share this video with everybody in your community. Frederick says knowing how to use a computer and the internet is just as important today as reading and writing were 100 years ago. I could not agree more, and we see this especially with the next generation. So we see this shift is happening in terms of the future of work, and we know that digital is at the center of much of that change. So I want to give you 3 really tactical things that you can do right now in terms of adapting to that change that is taking place. And perhaps one of the most important right now, we are in a digital environment where social media has so much power, is to be able to create engaging content, but not just content in terms of putting it out there, also conversations that can take place in social media. So how do you create that engaging content? Just a quick resource, if you don't go there already, Social Media Examiner is one of my favorite websites in terms of really understanding with these practical guides how to do everything from buy ads on LinkedIn to build your community on Instagram and beyond. It's an excellent platform, again, to be able to fully embrace social media within your business. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, and I think this is something that is largely ignored in this virtual world that we're in today, is how do you build virtual trust through video beyond social media? And when I think about this idea of virtual trust, I think we have all seen those CEOs and executives that are being interviewed on TV or who are speaking at conferences, and maybe they have technical difficulties or there's issues with lighting, and all of a sudden we see that trust being kind of eroded. And it's a subtle thing that takes place, but this is why I firmly believe in investing in the virtual video environment and how critical it is. If you know someone who's done that well, please drop it into the comments. I would love to hear, because again, this is a skill set as well. John talks about how every business owner needs to learn how to use Canva. John, that is coming up in one of my next points, so you're a little ahead of me, but thank you for that. And when we think about virtual trust, I wanted to share a quick video, an example of sort of a Zoom fiasco that took place last year that many of you have probably seen, so we can start to wrap our heads around this idea why virtual video is so critical for a business and for all of us building brands out there in the digital space.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
we're trying to, can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that. I think if you click.
So there we have it, an example of how quickly we can erode that trust that we need to build in the virtual environment. So just very quickly, and feel free to ask me any more questions on this front, because we are here in our studio in Toronto. This is our business, so I appreciate not all of you will have a setup like this, but there are some simple things that you can do to be able to build your virtual video setup. The first is to think about lighting, and a really easy solution to that is a desktop ring light. This one is from a company called Neewer. I use this at home when I'm doing even just video calls. You also need a USB microphone, so something like Snowball, the Snowball microphone I've been using for many years, and there are lots of other options out there. I don't want to throw Chris under the bus, but Chris is our technical whiz here, so feel free to find him online if he has any recommendations. And Chris, maybe just quickly, we did not rehearse this, but what do you think is the #1 mistake people make when they're doing virtual video for a live TV interview or even for a presentation like this?
Well, for both of them, I would say that it's acknowledging what you mean, live TV, like live television?
No, for virtual, like when you do an appearance like this, you know, if you were doing a virtual video hit, if you're an executive. So what's the #1 mistake that people make when they go live, whether it's audio, video, lighting, whatever that might be?
Admitting that they don't know what they're doing. Because it's been years now. It's been 2 years, and we've had all this technology before, and depending on who you are, it's fine if you are the whatever the tech. Shouldn't say that. But the CEO should have all aspects of their business under control. So to throw your tech team under the bus, or to blame somebody else, or to blame the equipment, it just doesn't look good on you. It just doesn't. You don't wear it correctly. So you should just take ownership and be like, look, this isn't my setup, or this isn't how I would like to do things, or whatever the case may be. But not knowing something, I don't think anyone should ever admit that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just even investing a couple $100, which is why I like to recommend.
Or more, if
Or
I
more,
can interrupt,
yeah.
because people will spend thousands of men, I don't know about women, but men spend over $1,000 on a suit or more. And I'm sure people spend more on a suit. And they won't spend $100 on something, or a couple $100 on the camera. That's inexcusable. That's insane. This is, your Zoom setup are your new clothes.
Well, it's absolutely true. And it's so important in this day and age. The third tip I wanted to mention, beyond building that trust through virtual video and thinking about how to use social media in a clever and engaging way, is leveraging AI-powered tools. And there are so many examples out there, but we just had a comment, and I would love to hear from everybody who's watching right now if you have any other tips for some of the great tools that exist in the digital space to save you time and money. So the one that was mentioned that I have a quick little demo of is Canva. And Canva has improved so much over the past couple of years. It's just incredible. A quick example of this is I recently got new headshots and I wanted to remove the background. This used to be a clumsy process, but you can see here within seconds that Canva is able to pull out that background. What you can also see is that you don't have those kind of rough edges that you used to have when you tried to do this with an automated piece of software or even on your own. So a great example, again, of how we can use AI-powered tools like this to be able to save time and money in our business. The second thing I want to talk about as far as that second pillar, and this one I think is so meaningful, especially today, is this idea of prioritizing purpose. And when we think about purpose, what I mean by that is that it used to be, I think many of us ran into this, that it wasn't okay as a business leader or as an employee to really talk about those causes and those things that you care about. And now I believe, and I really would love to know what people think, we are shifting into an era where not only is it important to have things that you believe in and those causes, but also to share them. It's not just important for your business, but also important for recruiting. A great example of this is from an article on Benefits Pro, where they say that Gen Z workers are increasingly looking at an employer's commitment to the environment and social impact when considering career opportunities. And employers looking to attract these workers need to step up and deliver. So we understand that the relationship with purpose has changed over the years, and that's a good thing. And there's probably no better example of a company who really stands up for something than Patagonia. This isn't a trendy new thing that they've done. They've done it for many years. If you go to their website, you will see different pages like this that say the climate crisis is our business. And I do believe that this is what we need in the future. We need more businesses that are standing up for causes like this that are so critical and so important. And we're already starting to see that along the way. Also on Patagonia's website, they talk about their mission, and their mission is to build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, use business to protect nature, and they don't want to be bound by convention. And that's really what they are known for. Interestingly, if we think about some announcements that have been made even just recently at CES, a great example of this is Samsung has partnered with Patagonia, and they made an announcement about reducing microplastics as one example. So we know more and more, even big technology companies are standing up for what they believe in. Now, if you're curious about the opportunities that do exist today in terms of standing up for something and putting your time and energy behind a certain cause, this is a great chart from the World Economic Forum, the 2021 Global Risks Outlook. And what's fascinating about this is that it allows you to dive into the top risks that we are facing today. So if you believe that climate is something that you should stand up for, you are absolutely right. Jennifer has a comment here on LinkedIn saying sustainability is a huge factor right now. That is absolutely true, because if you look at the top risks, we see that they are extreme weather, climate action failure, human environmental damage. There are other things on this list that are also so critical, digital inequality, which I talk about a lot. Jennifer says sustainability is on our radar, which is good and important for all businesses. Let me know if you're watching right now, what purpose is your priority right now? It looks like Jeffrey is talking about digital literacy. Again, this is a great cause to get behind. When we think about inequality, think about what's happening right now for kids in Ontario and around the world who are doing virtual learning. And there is a percentage of kids and families who don't even have access to basic technology or basic internet to be able to engage. So we live in a very unequal world, and many of us have to work hard to be able to close that gap. Now, the third and last thing that I want to talk about, which is worthy of its own presentation, is workplace wellness. Now, an interesting story, when I started doing virtual keynotes during the pandemic, and we're doing a few a week in our studio here, I actually added one day this wellness topic, and I added it into my technology trends keynote. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it, but Chris and I kind of chatted about it a little bit, and we thought, it's worth talking about because people are suffering from anxiety and other mental health issues, and workplace wellness is becoming a priority for many businesses. And when we think about workplace wellness, what we're seeing is that it used to be the responsibility of the individual within an organization, no matter the size, in terms of their own wellness. But what we've seen recently, and this is a great example of this, is that with remote work blurring the lines between work and home, executives need to think about moving away from this idea that you are always available in this always available work environment, and move towards promoting this idea of work-life balance. Now, I'd love to know in the comments if you are a leader in an organization, again, doesn't matter the size, how are you trying to promote wellness in your organization? Early on in the pandemic, we saw many of examples of people really stepping up to promote causes or to talk about wellness in their organization. A great example was Whoop. This is a band that I've been wearing for a while. I don't officially work with them, but I just love my Whoop band because I can track my sleep, my activity, my strain, all of those details. There's no screen, so it's not bothering me all day, and it's easy to charge maybe once a week. And Whoop had actually partnered with Tory Burch, the fashion brand, early on in the pandemic so that Tory Burch could offer up these Whoop bands to hundreds of their employees. This to me, again, is kind of the future where wellness and well-being is something that we all need to be able to prioritize within our businesses in order for our people to feel good about what they're doing. If you're not well, it's really hard to grow a business, and I think we're seeing that more and more. Jennifer just dropped a comment into the chat saying and encouraging people with disabilities to get outside in our cool coats, talking a little bit about what they're doing in their business. Thank you for doing that. And we love to hear these stories. And I'm just kind of scraping the surface because I know that there are more and more. Kevin Alder, I don't know if Chris had brought this up. He talks about broadband challenges and what's taking place right now in Virginia. I think there was another comment about that. And you're absolutely right. And businesses can play a role in terms of stepping up. When we think about workplace wellness, we also see apps out there like Calm and Headspace, and there are plenty others that actually work with businesses to allow you to give subscriptions to people in your organization. Now, I talked about this in my weekly newsletter, and I was talking to Jess, who I think is watching right now. She's our account director, and we're going to offer people a subscription to Calm, a one-year subscription at Amber Mac Media. The price is totally accessible and reasonable, less than $300 to do just that for a team of 5. So this is just one example of how you can prioritize wellness, how you can step up and ensure that the people in your organization have the tools that they need in this virtual environment. Again, so critical right now as many of us struggle in different ways. So as we wrap up this presentation, again, which is basically recapping the 2022 Mostly Business Survival Guide that I shared in the Tuesday newsletter, we were blown away. Our open rates in the newsletter were at 50% last time I looked. If you publish a newsletter, that's quite high. So I know people are crying out for help, and I know people need these pillars and this guidance to be able to survive in this world. So I ask you this question one more time. Can you live in predictable unpredictability? It's so difficult for so many of us to say yes to that question, and yet we need the skills and the resources to be able to do just that. So a recap of what I talked about in terms of the 3 pillars: digital discipline, starting to really take your social media and your digital presence and your virtual video, all of those things more seriously, investing more time and energy. Prioritizing a purpose. What do you stand for? You know, one of the things we've talked a lot about this year with Chris and Jess and the rest of the team is that we are focusing more and more on sustainable tech. And this is something that you'll see in terms of our efforts with everything from media tours to our partnerships, also talking about things like digital equality and how we want to prioritize and make that something that we invest time in. And the third thing is workplace wellness. So thinking about wellness at the core of everything that you do. So I wanted to thank all of you for joining me today for this quick 20-minute video, again, recapping my newsletter. If you don't sign up for my newsletter, it comes out every Tuesday, no strings attached. I am learning along the way with the rest of you, so it's really taking you on this journey of adapting to new technology as time goes on. Thank you for being here, and I would so appreciate it if you would retweet or share this video with your community on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you might be. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, and good luck to all those parents out there who are battling in this virtual school environment. It's incredibly difficult. As a business owner and mom, I feel this firsthand, and I know many people have it way worse than I do, and it's certainly a challenge in this time. So thank you for being here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.